Hey, what's up, parents and teachers? It's me, Seth, with SethPerler.com. I'm an executive function coach based in Colorado, and I help struggling students navigate this thing called education. And the students that I work with day in and day out are the students who struggle in school. These are the ones who are resistant. I don't feel like, why do I have to do this? This is stupid. I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow, yada, yada, yada. And they have trouble seeing the value in education and what we are asking them to do. And they are resistant. And now, during this time, with the pandemic and with COVID 19 and with at home learning and with all this stuff, everything's all over the place. I am hearing so many families talking about how their kid doesn't want to do anything. The teacher said it was optional, so they're not going to do any of it. They're doing the bare minimum. They're just doing enough to get by. They're doing enough to get me off their back. They're doing enough to pass the class. The class isn't giving grades anymore, blah, 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 blah. The point is that the kids are not engaging in what should be valuable educational experiences that are going to help them plant seeds for their life. Why? Why aren't they? At least aren't my students? The self-motivated students will do these sorts of things. But these students, why won't they? Well, here's why. Every teacher's different. Whatever your opinion is, share it in the comments. I want to hear it. What I think what I think as an educator, as someone who take a lot of issue with education, I think education is the key to a great life. Education is what we need, but when it's done right, when kids get a good education, I don't care if you're in the worst rated school in your state or if you're in the best rated school in your state. A good education doesn't have to come from the best school in the state. You can get a horrible one there and you can get a great one in the worst school, because the metrics we use are wrong. The things that we use to measure how effective education is flawed at the core, in Seth's opinion. We are looking at grades, we're looking at data, we're looking at measuring things called standards, Common Core. We have these measurements by which we judge the effectiveness or the quality of education. Who cares? If a child is 18, graduates high school, and is miserable, unhappy, depressed, anxious, doesn't know how to have a social life, doesn't know how to connect with people, doesn't know how to be generous, doesn't know how to be self-motivated, doesn't know how to care about something that they care about, doesn't know how to think, doesn't know how to learn for themselves, doesn't know how to do things to have their own independent great life, is that a good education? So I believe education is key when it's a good education. I could go on for a long time, but I'm going to leave you with one thought. The number one metric I look at in terms of what I believe a quality education is, the number one most important thing that I think makes a good education, and if you were to judge schools, you would judge it based on this one thing. The number one thing I think is important is engagement. How engaged is the middle schooler, the high schooler, the kindergartner, the second grader, the college student? If you have younger kids, engagement is way easier. No doubt about it. Kids need leadership and they need to be led. And younger kids, it's very easy to lead them. Hey, everybody, we're going to do group time. Hey, everybody, we're going to play in the sandbox time. Hey, everybody, we're going to learn about numbers. Hey, everybody, we're going to learn multiplication. So there's engagement. The younger they are, the easier it is to engage a group of children. The older that they are, when they start to develop that social part of their brain, and when they start to become adolescents, and when the part of their brain where they start to need some independence happens, we don't give them that. We don't say to them, hey, you are now 12 or 13 or 14 or 15, and you are in such a different place than you were a few years ago. And we have prepared you to think for yourself and to learn for yourself, and to explore these learning opportunities and to develop your own projects. We have not taught them to do that. We have continued to do what's called top-down education, where we're telling them what to learn, when to learn, how to learn it, how to show their learning. We're telling them, go to this class, sit there for 45 minutes, a bell rings, you go to another class, sit there for 45 minutes, a bell rings, you sit there for 40 minutes, go to another class, and then you do this homework and you do all of these activities, whether or not they have any seeming relevance to your life. You will do what we tell you because we will judge you on it, and we will give you a thing called a grade for that thing, blah, blah, blah. And we are smashing engagement. They are losing engagement. Now, you might say, well, Seth, I see a lot of self-motivated kids who do just fine with it. You know what? A lot of them do just fine with it. And a lot of them come out of it just fine and have a great quality of life. And that's what we want. Great. So it works for a percentage of the kids, but it doesn't work for all kids. And is there something we could do for all kids that would be even better for the ones who are successful in the system that we have designed? Anyhow, I am going to rant for like 50 hours if I don't shut up right now. So here's the point. Engagement. How, and I'm not even going to talk about how in this one. Well, I'll give you one way how. How do we get engagement? How do we get kids who are engaged in their education? How do we do this? How do you, the parent or the teacher or the administrator watching this or the psychotherapist watching this, how do you get engagement when you want to learn something new? Okay, there's somebody locally who's a beekeeper. I got the best honey in the world from him. I'm just made another order. I'm super excited about it. I'm about to ask him if I can check out how he does. I'm engaged. I want to learn about this thing. How? Why am I engaged? Ownership and buy-in. I have a choice. I have a part of it. I'm inspired. I care about it. It matters to me. There's purpose in it for me. How do we create education for kids that is purposeful, that is meaningful, that matters to them, that asks them, what do you care about, kid? How can we help you learn cool stuff around what you care about and still learn the core things that you need to learn, but also learn what you care about? It's possible. It's doable. We can do it. Creative teachers have been doing it forever. It's not the way we tend to do things because we tend to like to measure things. We like to give things a thing like an A or a B or an 88 or a 76. We like to measure things because we put a lot of value as a culture on numbers and data. What about the human being's quality of life? What about their happiness, their sense of success, their sense of belonging, their sense of connection, their emotional intelligence, their ability to navigate difficult circumstances, their ability to have tenacity, to be able to fail and get back up, to try again, to know when to not try? Wisdom. What about these sorts of things? To be able to think, to be able to learn on their own. Engagement, engagement, engagement. Comes from ownership and buy-in, comes from teachers and parents and everybody creatively designing learning experiences that matter, that are engaging, that are purposeful, that they care about, that they want to do, that says to these kids, hey, I actually trust that you can make your own decisions about what you want to learn. We don't like to do that as adults. We don't like to trust them. We think, oh, well, if I trusted them, they wouldn't do anything. That's because we've been screwing up for so long.